Now, news that works for you. This is WGXA News.
Water everywhere, not a drop to drink. This is our best friend right now.
Happening now on WGXA News at 10, another water main break. How long residents in Middle Georgia City are going to have to go without water that is safe to drink?
Lawmakers pushing for a bill they say grants you religious freedom. I'm Eric Mock working for you. Why this bill could mean millions of dollars lost for Middle Georgia businesses.
And why dozens of people in one Middle Georgia community are facing charges now after posing as a poultry show.
Well, storms are still moving through Middle Georgia tonight. When we can trade our umbrellas for sunshine coming up.
Well, this afternoon, people in Eatonton were left without water for the second time in 24 hours after the city experienced a second water main break. New tonight, WGXA's Brittany Collins went back to Eatonton. She joins us now live in studio right now on WGXA News at 10. And Brittany, how are people responding with a boil order still in effect there?
One neighbor who I met looked outside at the rain saying, rain rained everywhere, not a drop to drink. But she says she's been through this situation before, and it was a whole month. Elaine Hawkins and her husband remember just 2 weeks ago when they had no water on their street in Eatonton for a whole month due to water line issues.
I guess the main thing is here we go again.
And for the past 2 days, they're back to using water jugs.
This is our best friend right now.
Trying to not to have to wash any dishes.
Paper plates. We're ready.
And not taking regular showers.
We had to sponge bath and all that because we didn't have enough water pressure to come in the house.
Having no water or contaminated water didn't bother them.
But that's the best we can do right now. We don't dare waste it either.
What bothered them is how they found out.
Had our son not notified us, we would probably have just used the water like we regularly do.
With no water to cook with, they've eaten leftovers for several days. The water is running normally out their faucets again. But a boil water order in Putnam County is still in place.
I hesitate to go uptown and get fast food because how are they cooking their food? We don't know.
But if you walked inside Smith's Coastal Grill in Eatonton on Thursday, you'll notice no one is inside.
Now all of us are closed and we're all losing business because of it.
The health department closed down all the city restaurants as long as the boil water advisory is still in place.
So we can't serve soft drinks, we can't wash dishes, we can't wash vegetables. So it kind of puts everything, it stops everything. We can't operate.
This weekend, the water should be safe again.
Yeah, it's coming out, but I don't trust it. I don't trust it to wash the dishes.
But the Hawkins family says they wouldn't dare use it until they feel comfortable.
Never been much for bottled water, but I believe from now we'll keep some containers here just in case.
It's important to boil your water because once the system loses pressure, harmful bacteria can enter the lines. Schools are open tomorrow, but bottled water and hand sanitizer will be delivered to schools. Water fountains will be turned off, and cafeterias will follow safety guidelines and protocols. Reporting live in the studio, Brittany Collins, news that works for you.
Well, tonight the investigation is over into allegations of theft at the Milledgeville Water Department. As we first reported 2 weeks ago, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation started looking into that agency. Agents say they found no evidence to support a further investigation. GBI closed the case and no charges have been filed. Well, new at 10, a Warner Robins police officer files a lawsuit against the city he works for claiming discrimination. According to the complaint filed in federal court, Jeremy Christensen wants more than $75,000. Christensen says he suffers from seizures and took time off to deal with his medical condition. He claims a clerical error in the way a secretary put his leave into the system caused the department to accuse him of falsifying his time card. Christensen claims that he was fired because of his disability. City Attorney Jim Elliott says the lawsuit is without merit, and he expects the courts to find the city in compliance with the law. Well, bond is denied for a man accused of murdering his brother. 62-year-old Alton Williams asked a judge for a commitment hearing today so that he could have a lawyer there. Bibb County Sheriff's investigators say they arrested Williams with help from U.S. Marshals at his home last night around 6 o'clock over on Joseph Waller Drive after those warrants were issued. Williams' brother Harry was found dead of a gunshot last week. He's charged with murder. That commitment hearing is 2 weeks from today. It started off as a beautiful day here in Middle Georgia, but now rains have been rolling in all evening. Meteorologist Carrie Capello joins us from Storm Track Central, where she's been tracking the system as it moves through the area. And Carrie, we've got some cooler temperatures and still more rain tonight.
Yeah, we still have the rain. It's slowly moving across middle Georgia tonight. Cooler temperatures, especially in our northwestern cities and counties this evening. The sky cam, tower cam outside is pretty fantastic. Check out those clouds over Macon tonight. It's a nice night to be outdoors. The rain has kind of come to an end for parts of Macon. Elsewhere, though, we're seeing the rain. That thunderstorm forecast has continued to push off towards the south. If we see any more thunderstorms, it's going to be in our eastern neighborhoods. Winds 40 miles an hour, heavy rain, small hail. Most of the action, though, will stay off to our southwest, and we will just keep the rain. There's that line of rain really from the Carolinas back into parts of southern Alabama. All of the lightning along the southern part of this line. A few severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued throughout the day, but mainly to our south. I think the severe threat is out of our neck of the woods. We're just going to continue to see some of these heavy rain showers move through the area, mostly in Eastman, McRae, down by Vidalia, Dublin, Wrightsville. Still seeing those showers, but the good news, you can be our eyes across middle Georgia tonight. We want to see your storm photos and video. Make sure to email them to us at weather@wgxa-tv.com. You can also share them on social media with us. Go to our Facebook page. You can search it by wgxa.tv. We're also on Twitter at WGXA News. Raymond?
Well, right now, 45 people in Upson County are facing charges for animal cruelty after deputies say they found evidence of chickens being used to fight each other.
You can say that's a poultry show all you want to, but I can't imagine anybody going there with spikes attached to a chicken's leg to fight to the death and calling that a legitimate poultry show.
Deep on the property at 2015 Atwater Road, a sign said it was the Hilltop Poultry Show. But Upson County Sheriff Dan Kilgore said what deputies found had the appearance of cockfighting. They estimated about 200 birds on the property.
They were kept in container boxes or cages that were located all around the property.
Sheriff Kilgore showed us pictures of caged birds on the property, what appeared to be a weigh-in chart where matches get set, a fighting pit, and even gaffs. Those are blades put on the fighting bird's legs. Some used like this one, others new.
Oh, I was told that some of the stuff was to be auctioned off.
This picture shows deputies explaining to everyone there why they were being arrested. 44 people arrested in one morning in Upson County. Not even enough space on this conference room table to show them all to you. All charged with a misdemeanor criminal attempt to commit cruelty to animals. By late Sunday morning, all bonded out.
And everybody there was no question about what they were there for.
Well, Newton nursing home in Abbeville is facing closure after state officials issued a letter of termination yesterday. New Beginnings Care Healthcare and Rehab currently houses nearly 90 patients and employs more than 100 staff members. State officials issued several sanctions after findings of what they call deficiencies in the nursing home's operation. Longtime employee Benny Howard says that the state hasn't returned since the facility fixed the initial findings.
The state came in and they found some stuff in that we need to fix, like the tank was off the wall, the floors were dirty, spider wheels on the wall. So they told us if we get everything fixed by February the 13th, they'll be back in and put us back in compliance. But what they did, they didn't never come back out, and they wrote a letter on February the 6th stating that they're gonna decertify the bidding before they even came back and looked at the bidding.
State officials say that all residents will need to be relocated within the next 30 days, and the nursing home is scheduled to close by early April. Our news team will visit that facility tomorrow, and we plan to bring you more updates on this story as it continues to develop. Well, new tonight, a missing soldier from the Korean War and a resident of Abbeville has now been accounted for. The news came just one day ago from the Department of Defense POW MIA accounting agency, matching DNA of James M. Smith, who served in the U.S. Army as a private first class during the Korean War. Smith was just 19 years old when he enlisted in the Army and was assigned to support South Korean forces in attacks against the Chinese People's Volunteer Force. Smith's niece, Geneva, joined us by phone and told us what she's feeling right now that her uncle has been found.
I am elated. I am just absolutely dumbfounded that I get to do this. I'm so honored. I can't even imagine how anyone else would feel more honored or, you know, so sentimental. And it's just really surprising. I'm just astounded that I get to do this. I can't believe it's almost like I won the lottery.
Next week, Smith will have a proper burial ceremony at the Arlington National Cemetery near Washington, D.C. To date, nearly 8,000 Americans still remain unaccounted for from the Korean War. Smith's story is just one of those many. Well, Georgia's governor weighing in tonight on a religious liberty bill. Coming up next on WGXA News at 10, why Middle Georgia's economy may take a hit if that bill passes.
Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it. All right. Okay.
Showdown right now in Detroit. Republican presidential hopefuls piling on the attacks after the last Republican nominee fires at Donald Trump today. Live coverage from the Fox Theater in just 15 minutes. But first, Luke Hetrick is joining us. What's ahead in sports? Luke.
Hey, Raymond. Well, busy day here in Middle Georgia. State champions were crowned, and a big-time quarterback flipping his commitment today. I'll tell you who later in sports.
We have to have anything that allows discrimination in our state in order to protect people of faith.
Strong words from Georgia Governor Nathan Deal today about the religious liberty bill. The governor's statement comes after several businesses in Georgia threaten to pull out of the state if that bill becomes law. WGXA's Eric Mock is working for you to find out if businesses here in Middle Georgia may be affected by that bill. Eric, what did you find out?
Raymond, several sources tell me this bill could have a negative impact on business here, especially the growing film industry. But one organization isn't buying the threats these businesses are making. Middle Georgia often hosts movies and TV shows. Just last week, the TV show The Originals filmed at the Cox Capitol Theater in downtown Macon. But Terrell Sandifer with the Macon Film Commission says the religious liberty bill could change all that.
This bill could hamper the film industry's growing interest in Georgia and would impact a great many local businesses and communities.
The religious liberty bill in the Georgia legislature is designed to protect any person or faith-based organization from government action if they refuse to participate in a same-sex wedding or any marriage ceremony. The state Senate passed the bill, and now it's in the Georgia House of Representatives. But Sandifer says this could jeopardize Macon's economic future in film.
We're also working with other, big budget films and indie films, and so yeah, it could definitely impact negatively.
But Executive Director of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, Dave Baker, says that's not true.
Businesses will not leave Georgia if this bill passes. Well, the point being, there are even broader protections in every other state in the South and in the majority of states throughout the country that have religious protections that Georgians lack.
Valerie Bradley with the Macon-Bibb County Convention and Visitors Bureau says this bill could make Middle Georgia seem less desirable to tourists.
And so legislation like this could potentially have an effect on being able to attract Macon as a city that allows and welcomes everyone.
But Baker says these predictions about business are more about politics than they are about the economy.
That is the scare tactic used by the left to try to cow people into accepting violations of their constitutional rights.
And the Georgia Film, Music, and Digital Entertainment Office says the film industry in the state has grown from having an impact of $244 million in 2007 to $6 billion in 2015. Now, as you heard earlier, Governor Nathan Deal says the House needs to make serious changes to the bill before he'll sign off on it. Live in studio, Eric Mock, news that works for you.
Well, a bill allowing guns on Georgia's public college campuses is heading before a Senate committee on Monday. The state Senate Judiciary Committee already heard testimony today but didn't vote on the bill. The Georgia House passed it, which allows anyone licensed to carry a gun in the state to carry concealed handguns on college campus. The Board of Regents, which governs the university system of Georgia, opposes changes to the current laws that prevent weapons on campuses. Bibb County Sheriff David Davis has some competition in the upcoming election. Retired Bibb County Sheriff's Captain Mike Smallwood served with the Sheriff's Office for a little more than 40 years before he retired, and today he announced his candidacy for the Sheriff's Office in the May 24th election. Meanwhile, Susan Sipe is announcing her re-election for District 3 representative in the Bibb County Board of Education. Sipe was instrumental in bringing Superintendent Dr. Curtis Jones into Bibb County. Well, job seekers in Macon headed to the ICE Bar and Grill on Williamson Road. That bar may not be your first place to look for a job, but ICE hosts a monthly networking workshop, and tonight, Macon-Bibb County Human Resources Director was there to give on-the-spot interviews. Macon-Bibb Commissioner Al Tillman says that this is a good way to reach people who don't usually get a shot at these kinds of jobs.
Because there are positions that's available that sometimes people just don't know about through traditional ways. And I think that's what this Macon-Bibb government and our Human Resource Department wants to do.
Tillman says that they have openings in the Sheriff's Office, Fire Department, and other departments. If you missed tonight's job fair, you can go to the 4th floor of the Government Annex building. It's over on Poplar Street. and fill out an application. They'll have another job fair at the Ice Bar and Grill on the first Thursday in April. Well, Georgia's unemployment rate has fallen to its lowest level in almost 8 years. The Georgia Department of Labor says that the jobless rate for January is 5.4%, with more than 4 million jobs. That's down from 6.3% in January of last year. The DOL says that the last time Georgia's rate was 5.4 was back in 2008. Well, live debate coverage next at 10 as GOP candidates go head-to-head in Detroit. But first, Carrie Capello is working for you in Storm Track Central. And Carrie, how long is this rain going to stick around?
Well, we're keeping the rain around a little bit longer. It looks like most of the end of the line is past our western neighborhoods, but it's still on the move. Outside, we do have the rain on top of us. When we'll be able to trade in that rain for some sunshine in just a few moments.
Donald Trump is a phony, a fraud.
Former presidential candidate Mitt Romney taking aim at Donald Trump, attacking his policies and his personality. As expected, Trump firing back, rebutting Romney's attacks.
Mitt is a failed candidate. He failed. He failed horribly.
Trump endorsed Romney for president in 2012. Now Romney is leading the effort to discredit Trump. This as Trump now faces off with 3 rivals in a presidential debate. New at 10, another fiery debate among Republicans in the race for president. Candidates going after each other on issues like immigration and job creation. Our national correspondent Andy Dominiani is live in Detroit with an update. Looks like another rough one tonight, Andy.
Yeah, good evening, Raymond. Yeah, it's a different kind of March Madness, you could say, here in downtown Detroit. We're down to the final 4. This is really, as predicted, a chance to go after Donald Trump. He's taking enemy fire from all sides, and this has been contentious from the word go. In the last hour and a half, Donald Trump has been in shouting matches with both Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, and it seems those two are teaming up to take Donald Trump down. This was contentious right out of the gates. The moderator asking Donald Trump, Raymond, about the KKK controversy and the David Duke thing. He disavowed them both. Then the moderator asked Donald Trump about Romney's condemnation of his character and his campaign. Donald Trump laughed that off, calling Romney an embarrassment and a failure. It hasn't been all personal. It has been some policy. They've talked at great length about education spending, trade, tax cuts, repealing Obamacare, defeating ISIS, and most notably immigration. They've been going back and forth on that for quite some time now. Donald Trump being hammered hard about a New York Times editorial board off-the-record conversation that he had, in which he may have said that he's been lying to the American people about building that wall. He's also being hammered about hiring seasonal foreign workers for his hotels. Rubio also being held to the fire for his participation in the Gang of Eight, and saying that he supports a path to citizenship for those who are in the country illegally. Now, that fourth candidate, the Ohio Governor John Kasich, is also up on stage, although he's staying largely out of the fray. He is telling folks that he has the only administrative experience as the governor of Ohio, that he can balance the budget, and that he could, in a contested convention, actually beat Hillary Clinton and would have a better shot than the other 3. This is very theatrical and very fitting that it's at the Fox Theater here in Detroit, a Democratic stronghold where Donald Trump is polling very well with Republicans heading into our primary next Tuesday. Raymond.
Seems like we've had almost an endless string of these debates. We do have a little bit more narrow field, so we're hearing more from each of the candidates, but the voters seem to be getting much out of these, or are they losing interest? Are they worthwhile to keep having these?
I'm not sure at this point that you can continue to have a debate with Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and Ted Cruz, because there have been, if you've been watching, Raymond, I'm sure you have, lots of shouting matches where the moderators are telling people no one can understand what you're saying. At this point in the game, I think that Gang of 4 should be narrowed down to just a couple of people. But yeah, to hear them scream over and over again, it's really getting, I think, tiresome for the electorate, especially here in Michigan.
All right, Andy. Well, thank you very much for your reporting there in Detroit. Looks like another interesting night. Well, new tonight at 10, unofficial election results show that businessman Donald Trump won all but 4 of Georgia's 159 counties. Marco Rubio took Fulton, DeKalb, and Cobb counties in metro Atlanta and Clark County. Hillary Clinton nearly swept the state, confirming one maxim in state politics: Democrats need black voters to win. Clinton's victory over Bernie Sanders hinged on turning out the state's large black voting population. Trump's GOP primary win threw expectations about Georgia Republican voters into disarray.